Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Tuesday morning. It is the 31st day of December 2024, the last day of the year, and this is the morning briefing. Yeah, you could say the last one of the year. As I look out the window of the home weather office, it's bright and sunny. There are some clouds in the Sierra to the east that kind of dimmed the sunrise a little bit this morning. And we do have some clouds coming and even a couple of chances of showers over the next few days. I'll show you that, but generally the next couple of weeks are going to be relatively dry. I'm going to talk about that. Also going to talk about what we're going to be hearing about in the national weather news over the next 10 days or so. Something to talk about there. The other thing I noticed as I look out the window this morning is the rooftops are covered in frost. It is a rather chilly morning. Let's take a look and see what's happening. This is the cloud cover I mentioned that went by the Sierra first thing this morning. Then we have sunshine, but as you can see, there is another area of cloud cover out here that's going to be streaming on by. Now, this is going to bring some chances of showers to Northern California during the day tomorrow, and we may tomorrow, and we may even see some of that as far south as the Sacramento area, and then we'll see another little chance on Friday. But the general trend here is going to be the farther north you go, the better chance of rain you have. The farther south you go, the less chance of rain you have, and that's a pattern that we have seen consistently so far in these first couple of months of a rain and snow season. Another reflection of that is on our snowpack. A lot of people have been asking me how we're doing in terms of snow, and this is from CDEC, so you can look at this yourself, the California Data Exchange Center. You look at the snow, and this is the daily report that they put out. And it's broken down into the northern Sierra, the central Sierra, which includes areas like Tahoe, and then the southern Sierra. And as you can see, the northern Sierra right now is at 166% of average for this time of year, 55% of the April 1st average, but 166%. But you go down to the central Sierra, like I said, areas like on Donner Summit, Tahoe area, we're right around average for this time of year. But then the southern Sierra is only at 79% of average, and then statewide we're at 115. So yeah, this is a reflection of the trend that we've seen so far this year, and especially with that AR that we had back in November that got us off to a big start, that the northern Sierra has seen most of it. The southern Sierra and Southern California, for that matter, have seen very little in the way of Southern California has seen very little rain, and then the southern Sierra also not quite as much. So that's a pattern that we'll have to keep an eye on as we go through the rest of the season. There could be a big discrepancy as we go forward into areas that, let's say, around to Oroville and into Shasta that would be reflected here, as opposed to areas that feed into the San Joaquin River. All right, so let's talk about our next chance of getting a little bit of rain here. And for that, let's talk about, I'll show you the HRRR. HRRR seems to be a little bit more aggressive on Wednesdays than some of the other models. But this is today, this is this afternoon around early this evening around 6 o'clock. We have some showers up here on the north coast. The rest of the area is dry. And as we head toward the time around midnight or so, we may be seeing some clouds, but it will be dry. So anything planned for New Year's Eve will be just fine until you get well north of Redding, up along the north coast, up around Crescent City, and down toward Eureka. There will be some rain, some light to moderate rain with some snow on I-5 north of Shasta. Now, as we go into the day on Wednesday, that line gradually sinks to the south. This is Wednesday morning. We still have the rain north of Redding, rain now into Mendocino County, and maybe some snow showers in the Sierra. Again, this is on New Year's Day around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. As we go through the morning, this model brings in some very light rain into the Sacramento area. This is around 1 in the afternoon, an inch or two of snow in the Sierra, and then all of that goes on by, and we are then dry. There's going to be another chance coming by on Friday. As a matter of fact, let me see. Can I show you? Yep, I've got this up. So this is the GFS. So let's show you the one on Friday. And let's see, this is Thursday night, and then this is Friday. Friday actually might be a little bit better, but not like a storm. This is going to just be more like showers. This is Friday around midday. A little bit of snow, maybe 3 to 6 inches of snow at best, I would think. This is Friday afternoon around 4 o'clock. And then on Saturday, all of that clears out, and then the pattern turns very, very dry, taking us all the way through the middle part of January without anything in the way of rain, getting into a dry period. And we do get into a classic dry period, dry pattern for Northern California with the big ridge that's going to build up. So this is our current 500 millibar flow, and as you can see into California, we have this nice flow coming off the Pacific. While it's not perfectly zonal flow, it's relatively zonal, carrying systems our way. This is as we head into the day on Thursday. Yes, this is Thursday, a little bit of a ridge here, but you'll also notice across the rest of the country, the flow is relatively zonal. In other words, if you follow, let's say, this line right here, you'll see that we have the ridge here, but the flow comes off the Pacific, it dips down into Colorado, and then through the Carolinas. Watch how this evolves over the next week or so. We have this little system that goes by on Friday, right here, and then the ridge gets bigger, especially right here. So this is out to, what day are we up to here? This is about a week from now. So big ridge here in California, maybe a bit of a north flow, but then you look at the flow here across the rest of the country. Look at where these wind arrows are coming from. They're coming from basically the Arctic down into the middle part of the country, and now we have very, very cold air east of the Rockies, and this is what's going to be making headlines as we head into the first part of January. We're going to be hearing about, oh boy, I just thought of this. Yes, we're going to hear about Polar Vortex. Yes, we will be hearing Polar Vortex. Anyway, it's going to be cold across the other part of the rest of the country. California and the western states, relatively warm and dry. And again, this is next week. While the rest of the country gets very, very cold, sending cold air even down into the Gulf states. And yeah, look at this pattern right here. That is straight from the Arctic all the way down into Texas and into the Gulf Coast. It's bitterly, bitterly cold in places like Wisconsin, Minnesota, through the Great Lakes. Bitterly, bitterly cold, well below zero. Probably one of those cases where the temperatures don't get above zero throughout the day. So for that, let me show you a different version of this. So I'm going to show you the temperatures at 5,000 feet here from the GFS. So what I want you to pay attention to are these areas up here. This is this gray color. This is temperatures around minus 18, 19, 20 degrees C. And again, these are at 5,000 feet. And then there's this very faint white line right in here, and that's the 0 degrees C or the 32 degree line. All right, so as we go through the next couple of days with that relatively zonal flow, the coldest air stays north of the Canadian border, and yeah, the zero line kind of goes from Northern California down into the Carolinas. So it's cold along the Gulf states, but not too bad. As we head into the weekend, there's some cold air, certainly in the Northeast. There's very cold air in the Northeast, and especially to places like northern New England. But watch as that big ridge builds up. So this is Tuesday. And remember, I showed you that big ridge building here and then that cold pattern here. Well, look at this pocket of much colder air. This is temperatures around minus 20 or colder at 5,000 feet. And then just watch how that drops down into the country driven by that jet stream. And so now that cold air is all the way down into Illinois. So places like Chicago would be quite cold. The zero line is all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So including places like New Orleans and Pensacola would be very, very cold. Only southern Florida down toward the Keys is warm, and California is warm as well. And then that pattern lasts throughout much of next week with another surge behind that. So this is what happens in the wintertime when we get the big ridge and we're dry in California. All the headlines will be talking about the cold air throughout the rest of the country, and it's just because of this classic pattern that we get here. Big ridge in the west, big deep trough, So we go from a zonal pattern to a very wavy pattern here at 500 millibars. And then this is the result: extremely cold air throughout the middle part of the country. Saw an article yesterday about how natural gas futures are spiking because of the anticipation of a very cold January. So it's always interesting to me to see the implications of the cold air, the warm air on things like financial markets and that sort of thing. So certainly something to keep an eye on. And again, we'll be hearing about this, especially next week. And you'll probably be seeing all sorts of things about, polar vortex, whatever. It's going to get cold, and now you know why. But around California, maybe a little bit of rain tomorrow afternoon or some showers, maybe a little something on Friday. The Friday thing will actually give us a couple of inches of snow in the Sierra. We'll likely have some chain controls for a little while on Friday. But then after that, that's it. We'll get into that dry pattern, and we'll have to go with that at least into the middle part of January. Well, it doesn't last much longer than that. That's everything I've got for you on this morning, the last morning of the year. Make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.